High country Brumbies occupy a unique place in our national imagination.
When the dawn makes pink the sky and steals along the plain, the Brumbie horses turn and fly towards the hills again.
What I love is their majestic movement, their ability to survive without humans. They're just amazing creatures.
But while they may seem majestic, those thundering hooves are destroying fragile ecosystems.
This is an environmental catastrophe. You imagine the alpine streams there that used to be lined by sphagnum moss now being cut up by those heavy hooves. The grazing pressure of feral horses is turning our national parks into essentially paddocks.
In both Victoria and New South Wales, debate is raging over how to deal with a wild horse population boom. In New South Wales alone, the herd ballooning 30% in just 2 years to more than 18,000 animals.
We need action to reduce those numbers urgently, or we will see the death of our native wildlife and the destruction of the headwaters of our major river systems.
The New South Wales Government has received over $1 million from the federal government for feral horse management, and we continue to see numbers of feral horses increase.
The population explosion is partly due to former New South Wales Nat John Barilaro's Brumby Bill 5 years ago to protect the wild horses of Kosciuszko National Park.
It's very clear that the former Minister Barilaro had a personal opinion about feral horses in the national park that completely ignored the science on the damage that feral horses are doing.
Now, Independent Senator David Pocock is calling for an inquiry, pushing the federal government to override the states and take control of the controversial colts.
Which I think is a very useful contribution to this issue that'll see whether there is a role for the federal government.
But the Brumbies have friends in high places, specifically the high country.
We follow them right from birth, really. We get to know their mobs and they trust us, and it's just an amazing experience. It's amazing to just, be accepted.
Michelle Brown runs a photography business near the national park. She's been a staunch advocate of the horses since she saw The Man from Snowy River as a teen and says the official figures are way out of line.
We hike all over the park. There is no way there is more than 2,000 horses within the national park.
Public opinion about the Brumbies is so fraught, governments have to cull in secret for fear of violent backlash.
Only in the last few months, there was a threat to firebomb National Parks and Wildlife Service officers by pro-feral horse advocates. This sort of thing is not acceptable.
It's never excusable for such rough behaviour, but they are on the place where the horses have been shot, killed. They are watching herds they've seen grow up, had their own foals, had new families. For them, it's like watching someone in your own family being put up against a fence and shot.
Brumby advocates say the populations can easily be controlled with sterilisation and rehoming. But environmentalists say there's no way the New South Wales government will reach its target of a population of just 3,000 feral horses by 2027 without culling.
In other states, we know that aerial culling is conducted, and we know that the evidence from experts is that it can be conducted humanely and it can be very successful in reducing population numbers.
Not one person accepts that aerial culling is a form of humane control. They are our cultural history. They have been in the mountains for 180 years. It's just where they belong. It's their home. It has to stop.
No one is denying the affinity that Michelle and Jill have for those gorgeous animals. We can see it there, but we do really need to reframe in our minds what we constitute a Brumbie. It's a feral horse. And if we wouldn't be having the same conversation if it was around cane toads, feral pigs, rabbits, things like that, which are doing this much destruction to a natural habitat, ecosystems, ones that are really, really vulnerable. And it is that uncomfortable conversation, but you hear it there. Environmentalists are saying that this is the way to go, and maybe the federal government needs to get on board with this.
Yeah, and the RSPCA is on board with the cull as well, so...
Humanely, that's the key. Humanely, it has to happen.
Would the Canberra Rugby Union team have to change their name?
No, they'll still be around.
OK, great. OK, so we're not doing it to
and we're not culling them.
Great, OK, sorry, just so I know.